right, so this is Todd Atkins, and I'm here with Miguel Iterati and Mike Davis of the Lights Out podcast. And today we're going to talk about Dana White's power slap. And so I wanted to start with Mike this time, see what he thinks of this power slap stuff.
All right. So, first and foremost, like I've seen it on my timeline, like on Instagram a couple of times. And it appears to me it's people lining up to get like concussions. Like it's just one after another. And like it seems pretty dangerous to me because you're not defending yourself. You're allowing somebody to hit you, which I don't know. I don't have any judgment. I know a guy in Poland had died doing it in the past. So they've actually experienced a death within the sport. And a serious sport that has contact has to be regulated. Like if you want to be taken serious, you have to, and I know the people involved probably don't want to hear this, but you absolutely have to have regulation. In that regulation and how it's written, in my personal opinion, which I have not read it yet, it would appear to me that it probably opens up the door to bare knuckle boxing. If they're allowing a sport where you're not allowed to defend yourself with an open hand with no padding on it, it can't be too far of a jump to get BKFC through that same door. That's my opinion.
Miguel, what do you think?
Well, I got to the part where Mike said a sport and then a serious sport, and that's where this ends right there. Because that's the problem with this. I have to admit, I have a little bit of free time every once in a while, and I'll, like many millions of people out there, will sit around on YouTube. I've seen this stuff. I've also seen, a 300-pound guy and a 100-pound guy attacking a girl who's a trained mixed martial artist that beats them both up. I've seen fighting in a phone booth. I've seen fighting in a car. Most of this stuff originates in Eastern Europe, and that's where this is from. But as a sportive purist, this is no connection to MMA, which except for Dana White, really. But what Mike says applies. If there's going to be medicals and stuff like that, because there's no defense, because you're going to just take a slap, there's nothing that you can do. It's not like, whoa, it's just take it with, your jaw. I don't see a sport. It's not like, oh, I can't wait to see him slap this guy. You know what I mean? It's like, so I think it has that spectacle, not sport aspect, and that could keep the commissions away from it completely. I don't know what Dana's doing here, but for a guy that has been an executive that took a sport from the underground to the heights that it's at today, whatever bumps in the road you want to blame him for, he's been there the whole path and he's done a great job. Everybody, gives him credit for that, and you can't really take that away. If he thinks he's doing it again with this, he's lost his mind completely. He's just, something's happened to him.
Well, here, let's play devil's advocate here. If we're looking for viral TikTok clips, an app that will never be downloaded on my phone, you're looking for 10 to 15-second little clips in order to monetize. Slap fighting has it written all over. Like that could be a decent little moneymaker, but you also kind of lose a little bit of credibility pretending like this is something that's serious. I mean, you've got people lining up for concussions. Do you know what I mean? Like,
and I mean, the thing is, most reports put Dana's net worth at about $500 million. So this is tantamount to him, getting on his hands and knees and reaching under the grocery store floor to grab a quarter. He ain't going to do that. And what kind of money is he really going to make it at? Not that's where it is. There's no way that this duplicates the UFC in any way, shape, or form. There's no way that one slap fighting event, the best slap fighters in the world, they bring them together, they build a fight that's going to match Conor and Mayweather, or Conor and anybody, So it's like he's literally not found. He literally showed us how not to find the next big thing.
Miguel, wait, hold up, Todd. Are you going on record, Miguel, stating that the Apex Center won't be at capacity when they start belting people in this?
I wouldn't say that at all. It probably will be.
I mean, it's 150 people.
It's still the point is my question is I just don't. I see no legs whatsoever. I could see somebody say, "Yeah, let's go see it." Oh yeah, that's kind of funny. Oh my god, have you seen it live? Or watch it on TV where it's up close or whatever. You get the spec, but I don't see like tuning in every week, or like I said, the sport event of like the number one ranked guy versus the number three ranked guy, and it means anything because what are they doing? It's not sportive. You can look at the guys that do it. There's no athletes there. I see. Anyway, Todd, go shoot. I'm sorry,
Mike. You said something, and I'm gonna pay a tribute to you here. I'm gonna put on the double-sided shiny aluminum foil.
Fuck yeah.
You mentioned something about bare knuckle fighting. Is the UFC trying to bridge a gap so they can take over bare knuckle fighting?
Oh, okay. My devious mind, like when you're on the promotion side, they say, oh no, you got to think outside the box. The reality of the situation is like on a law enforcement side, you need to have a criminal mind. And that doesn't mean you do bad activity or, do bad things. It just means you need to see all angles, both good and bad, particularly the bad and the scope of which. So the criminal mind that I have, having worked in law enforcement, obviously, tells me that something like this could be used to actually block BKFC. Have I read what is being purported as for rules and regulations? Absolutely not. But if you think that Dana White's going to stumble and trip and accidentally open up a door for a competition that also sells holy shit moments, because the UFC is not the only fight in that game, my devious mind would say, all right, let's invest a little bit of money, almost no money, do a whole, in regards to slap fighting. I mean, what's the buy-in there? It's almost zero. Let's get rules and regulations passed that would set up just not foothills, but just barriers that are difficult to cross for bare knuckle. On the bare knuckle side, it's just like, if I'm one of the executives there, I'm not going to name any names, obviously. If I'm one of the executives, of which none of them have said this to me, I would say this opens up a door. Now, I'm not saying it's wide open, but there's a sliver of light there. And it's the absolute hardest commission to get things through. Like to get licensed as a mixed martial art promoter in Vegas is one of the most difficult things you can do. It's incredibly difficult.
Right. That's what I'm saying. UFC opens doors for nobody. Maybe what they're doing is kind of like what they did with SEG. They stopped them from getting into Vegas and then took it over.
Yes.
Maybe so they stopped bare knuckle fighting from getting into Vegas to try and take it over.
Bare knuckle boxing, bare knuckle fighting championship, is actually doing a tryout, the first tryout in their company's history in Las Vegas at the Olympia contest and Mr. Olympia. So they're showcasing their brand and they're doing, a tryout there to see what kind of interest they can get from, the West Coast, contingency. My belief is that this is set up in order to hurt companies like BKFC or BYB or any of those, even what's Jorge Masvidal's MMA company, I think it's Icon. I don't know. Any of that bare knuckle stuff, I have to assume that this is actually being set up to create more roadblocks than it does, levels of entry. That's my mind. Having read nothing, that's my opinion.
Yeah, it's almost like we've stumbled upon something just live here. Because I was asking you off the record, why would these guys get involved with this? On the surface, it looks stupid to us. And I don't even know anybody who likes this stuff. Like, I'm on social media everywhere. I don't hear anyone saying, I got to see this. When is the next one? Nobody.
No, it's a 5 second segment that you watch and just go, okay, and you flip it through. And then there's like a real skinny guy that's like 4'10" that he's got real long arms and legs, and it looks like he hasn't eaten, like he looks like he's out of a concentration camp, and he does like the slapping of the bigger guys, and like it's weird. But no, Todd, like if you're asking me, having no knowledge of anything, I don't report to have any of which, it's to more set up stumbling blocks than it does. But Todd, the MMA media is so good right now. Like if you listen to the press conferences, they're so on top of things. I am sure one of them is covering this very subject in a way that we are.
I mean,
Miguel, you have anything to add on that particular angle?
Did you like my sarcasm, Todd?
Yeah, I got it.
well, there is precedent to that, you know. I mean, I don't know. At some point, somewhere along the lines, I think that the original paperwork for MMA with the commissions, either the UFC actively tried or got it written, so you could only do it in a cage, not in a ring. So it was in the law.
Miguel, it was a cage that had so many like extras to it. Like initially, like in the initial, I mean, it was you had to have a catwalk, you had to have this, you had to have that. Like the cage was like a $30,000 venture just to be able to kind of meet the criterion. And this was the stuff that was being floated to the commissions that either the commissions, by in part would have to adhere to or make promoters adhere to. I apologize for
most promoters, at that time were sitting around running their shows, thinking, when the commissions come aboard, we're going to have to deal with the medicals and the paperwork and this, that, and the other thing. Meanwhile, the Fertittas had lawyers over there. You know what I mean? And these people were preparing at a completely different level to play a completely different game. But that speaks to your point, Todd. It's like if they did it back then when they were coming into the sport, then certainly there may be an ulterior motive like that. It might be as simple as, so when the commission examines this and they say, this is what we're going to write about slap fighting, this is how we're going to start regulation or whatever, it could be simply crafted as the only sport or the only venue that the commission allows anything with an unwrapped hand. And then BKFC's done, because they would have to actually then go to commission meetings, where the commission meetings are famous for, not everybody's here to vote, move it to next January, move it to this. And that's what the UFC would probably urge the commission to do. But people would have to go to the commission meetings to change the bylaws of slap fighting to allow another sport. So it could be used to complicate things. Absolutely. That's, off the top of my head, that's the cleanest, most obvious reason. If it's even deeper than that, I don't know what that could be. But hey, they're Vegas people. I'm not, So
yeah, and Todd, let's restate this now. I know you're going to make clips of this. We have not read what it is that's coming forward. I personally have not talked to anybody. I work at BKFC occasionally. I have not talked to anybody over there about this. But
yeah, no, I don't care enough about it to talk about.
No, but our thoughts,
but you guys and our crowd, whatever that might be. I watched a few of them because I saw, the reason I saw it is I saw Zuluinho, the famous Ray Zulu. His son had participated in MMA. I booked him to fight in Russia, and he'd fought in Pride and that sort of stuff. And he got involved in doing this, and he's a huge 350-pound guy. So just because I knew the guy, I kind of watched it, and it's an Eastern European production, so they were playing up the racism angle and stuff like that, like different than we would. It's really low ball stuff. That's the thing, and that's why Dana's involvement and the Fertittas befuddles me.
So here, Ted, I'm going to give like the slap fighting world just words of wisdom right now, because I know the entire community is probably sitting on the edge of their seat watching this. When Mark Coleman was in the UFC making his championship run at Pride, there was a few things that he said that were very profound at the time he said them. He said, wrestlers are going to dominate this sport. That's why I'm here now, getting everything I can, just like every other wrestler. That's the first thing. And the second thing is the Russians are coming. In other words, get your shit now because the Eastern Europeans are going to be here. The slap fighting community, that rule number one that Coleman said stands. Number two, the Samoans are going to be here. Get what you can now. See, Miguel, did you like that?
I appreciate.
Was that prophetic?
I appreciate what you're trying to do, but that might be like the funniest, classiest, best bit of anything surrounding slap fighting, because it just, to me, it's that. It's lowball. It's like we're adults. It's like going to watch people light farts on fire. You know what I mean? It's like, I can't describe. To me, that's what it does to me. It's like it really is not anywhere near compared to the UFC or any type of sport. It's not a sport. So that's why this whole thing has me very confused.
Todd?
No, but before we cut off, like, I was coming into the show today befuddled. Remember, I was asking you guys to come up with a reason why these guys even got involved in this.
Well,
but it was what you said, Mike, about Bare Knuckle FC that made me think, you know what, the UFC always, start like more
10
like
steps ahead.
A 4D chess move.
Yeah.
Maybe
So
where
Todd,
they could say, okay, we started this. Now we're bare knuckle. We can do bare knuckle and nobody else can.
Or manipulate the rules of which. But Todd, this is where I say, well, I'm glad I really helped you out with that. So Miguel, would you like to let him know? This is where you're supposed to say he's the MMA detective, Miguel.
Oh, that's true. Hey,
wait, we're gonna do this again. No, you're not gonna take my moment from me. Yeah, Todd, I'm really glad I can open up those doors for you, but
hey,
now,
that's
Miguel,
what the MMA
maybe you could
detective
shed
does.
some light on this.
The MMA detective just, doing his job as always. And that isn't new. The only other thing I thought is they've been doing so much dealings with Eastern European fighters. Eastern Europeans, like I said, they bring money and they bet. And,
Miguel.
Maybe there's a debt there they're clearing up by buying a franchise.
I mean, in the future, Miguel, if you can just do like a little bit of a dramatic pause in between, like you saying my nickname and then like the next topic, dude, that'd be killer. All right, so
Mike,
go ahead.
I'm gonna Photoshop extra jowls on you. Todd, take it away.
Yeah, come on.
All right,
dude.
so this is Todd Atkins with another episode of the MMA Conspiracy Hour with Mike Davis and Miguel Iturrate of the Lights Out Podcast, the best MMA history podcast, hands down. Check it out. And until then, take care. Next time.
Hey, screw you, Miguel.